Picture this. You're a world superpower, sitting around a big table, pointing at maps, and one brave soul in the room says, "Let's invade Turkey." At that point, you should probably fire that person, because history shows us it's not just difficult, it's suicidal. Invading Turkey is like trying to beat a Turkish grandma at bargaining in the bazaar. No matter what you bring to the table, you're walking away defeated, probably with 2 carpets you didn't even want, and maybe a jar of olives thrown in for a good price. This isn't just a nation, it's a fortress stretched across 2 continents, seas, mountains, straits, and one of the toughest armies in the world. And for our Greek friends watching, don't worry, we'll get to you. The only thing you're ever going to successfully invade in Turkey is a doner kebab stand at 3 a.m. Because let's face it, the last time you poked Turkish airspace, you got escorted back faster than you can say opa. But hey, that's part of the neighborly dance across the Aegean, right? Turks fly in, Greeks fly out, and somewhere in the middle, everyone claims the sky. The first problem any invader faces is the terrain. Turkey is surrounded on 3 sides by water, the Black Sea to the north, the Aegean to the west, and the Mediterranean to the south. That means you don't just need an army, you need a serious navy. And Turkey's navy isn't just for show, it's one of the largest in the region, with over 150 vessels, including frigates, corvettes, submarines, and amphibious assault ships. Their fleet patrols constantly, meaning an invader wouldn't even make it to shore without taking heavy losses. And speaking of the Aegean, yes, Greece is right across the water, staring back with binoculars, but don't let the distance fool you. That sea is Turkey's moat. Any dream of hopping across with boats? Not happening. Between Turkish anti-ship missiles, submarines lurking underwater, and coastal radar watching every move, it's like trying to sneak into your neighbor's garden when they've got CCTV cameras, 3 dogs, and a cousin named Mehmet waiting with a shovel. But let's say you're foolish enough to actually land. Congratulations, you've just signed up for the mountain marathon of your life. The Taurus and Pontic mountain ranges, plus the brutal highlands of eastern Anatolia, don't just slow down an army, they break it. These mountains average over 3,000 meters in elevation, with some peaks higher than 5,000. Supply trucks, stuck, tanks, struggling, soldiers, out of breath before they even see combat. And if you thought the Alps were bad, try fighting in Anatolia in winter. It's less military campaign and more survival show, except there's no prize at the end. Geography alone would make Turkey a nightmare to invade. But then you add history into the mix. The Turks have been at the crossroads of civilizations for over 1,000 years. Byzantines, Crusaders, Mongols, Persians, Russians all tried their luck, and all learned the hard way. Empires came and went, but Anatolia remained Turkish. Take the Gallipoli campaign in World War I. Britain and France, with support from Anzac forces, thought they'd waltz into Istanbul, knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war, and open a new supply route to Russia. Instead, they met Mustafa Kemal Ataturk and a wall of determined defenders. The result? One of the most disastrous campaigns in Allied history. About 500,000 casualties combined with no victory. The beaches of Gallipoli became proof that invading Turkey is like trying to outdrink a Turk with raki. You'll regret it before the night is over. And to my Greek friends, yes, you tried too in the 1920s during the Greco-Turkish War. It didn't end with a Greek flag over Istanbul. It ended with everyone exhausted, a tragic population exchange, and a lesson written in history books. Anatolia is not a place you just stroll into. But hey, without that rivalry, we wouldn't have as many passionate football matches or heated arguments over who invented baklava. So at least something good came out of it. Now, let's talk about today. Turkey's military isn't some relic of the past. It's the second largest in NATO after the United States, with over 440,000 active personnel and roughly 380,000 reserves. On top of that, millions more Turks are trained thanks to mandatory service. That means the average Turkish man doesn't just know how to make great kebab, he also knows how to strip and reassemble an assault rifle before breakfast. Military service is practically a rite of passage, and it creates a society where defense isn't just the army's job, it's everyone's. But manpower is only half the story. The real game changer is technology. Turkey has become a global leader in drone warfare. The Bayraktar TB2 isn't just a drone, it's practically a brand name, feared by armored vehicle crews everywhere. In Libya, it crippled enemy supply lines. In Nagorno-Karabakh, it helped Azerbaijan smash through Armenian defenses. In Ukraine, it slowed down one of the world's largest militaries. And in Syria, it gave Turkish forces a massive edge against armored columns. These drones have proven so effective that they're now exported to more than 30 countries. And that's just one piece. Turkey is developing the Bayraktar Akıncı, a larger, more powerful drone, and the Kızılelma, a jet-powered UAV designed to fly alongside fighter jets. Then there's the TFX, Turkey's very own fifth-generation fighter jet currently in development. Add in indigenous tanks like the Altay, naval projects like the TCG Anadolu, Turkey's first light aircraft carrier, and you've got a country that doesn't just rely on imports. It designs, builds, and exports cutting-edge weapons. Meanwhile, our Greek friends across the Aegean are modernizing too with Rafale jets and F-16 upgrades. But let's be honest, it's less who has the better toys and more whose toys run out first. In a real invasion scenario, Turkey's massive production capacity and larger economy mean it could crank out more equipment faster than almost any of its neighbors. But here's where it gets even worse for any would-be invader. Location. Turkey sits at the most strategic crossroads in the world. Whoever controls Turkey controls the Bosporus and Dardanelles straits, the only way in and out of the Black Sea. This is so important that the Montreux Convention of 1936 literally gives Turkey the power to regulate military traffic through those straits. In other words, if Turkey says you're not sailing through, you're not sailing through. Russia knows it, NATO knows it, and any invader would have to fight over some of the most valuable waterways on Earth. And yes, let's not forget NATO. Article 5 means an attack on Turkey is an attack on the entire alliance. Imagine invading and suddenly facing not only Turkish soldiers, but also American aircraft carriers, British submarines, and German tanks rolling in. It would be like starting a bar fight and realizing every single guy in the pub is your opponent, and maybe one Greek guy in the corner yelling, "Don't worry, we're allies, this time." But perhaps the hardest part to overcome is the people themselves. Turks are fiercely patriotic. Military service is celebrated. National unity in the face of invasion is almost guaranteed. An invader wouldn't just be fighting the army, they'd be fighting the baker, the mechanic, the taxi driver, and the old man in the tea house who suddenly pulls out an old service rifle from under the counter. Turkish hospitality is famous until you show up uninvited with a tank. Then it's less, have some tea, and more, here's an RPG. So let's put it all together. You've got geography that traps armies, history that terrifies invaders, a modern military that's armed to the teeth, strategic alliances that guarantee backup, and a population that would rather fight than fold. Invading Turkey isn't just difficult, it's insane. At the end of the day, Turkey is a fortress disguised as a country. Trying to invade it is like trying to storm a castle with nothing but a wooden spoon. You're not going to win, and you're going to look ridiculous while you lose. So, to anyone thinking about it, here's the short version. Don't. Stick to Turkish delight, Turkish tea, and Turkish beaches. Invade those all you want. But the moment you try to invade the country itself, you'll discover very quickly why it's impossible. And Greece. That includes you. But don't worry, it's all love. Because if it weren't for this rivalry, we wouldn't have decades of good banter, shared history, and enough memes to fuel both sides for another century.